Hello, Scoliosis Dialogues listeners. This is Cynthia Nguyen from Shriners Medical Center in Pasadena, California. During this episode, we get to discuss the upcoming IMAST 2024 meeting that will take place April 10th to 13th in beautiful and sunny San Diego, California. In case you missed it, in the episode from December 13th, I got to talk with Dr. Eric Kleinberg, one of this year's IMAST co-chairs. Today, we get to talk to Dr. Per Trobisch, who is Chief of Spine Surgery at Eifel Klinik St. Brigida in Zimmereth, Germany, and also the other IMAST co-chair for this year. Dr. Trobisch, Dr. Schön for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Before we start talking specifically about this year's IMAST meeting, I'd like our listeners to get to know you a little bit. We like to ask this question of a lot of folks that we meet on this podcast. How did you get interested in spine surgery?
So, as with many things, it's probably related to persons. So in my residency, I had this spine surgeon, attending surgeon, Tom Niemeyer, who's a scoliosis surgeon. I was always impressed by his work. And this is when I decided to kind of go into that area and of spine surgery. And then, but I also wanted some different training. So I applied for a fellowship, and I did a fellowship actually first at NYU. Tom Errico got me into NYU fellowship, which is where I really trained in deformity. So these guys, that was a few years ago when Frank Schwaber and Lorna and all these deformity guys were there. And that was fun. It was a lot of work because big cases, but a lot of work. And but it was still fun. I just had the feeling that something is missing. So after that one, I joined Randy Betts and the other guys at Shriners Philadelphia, where I really would say train a different kind of deformity, all these young kids. And somehow I stuck there, and I'm still a friend of most of my mentors and have contact very regularly with them. And this is what I still like. Yeah.
That's great. So your practice is pediatric and adult deformity to this day?
It's mainly deformity, probably 80%, but I still do some degenerative work. But deformity is most of my day, and most of it is actually pediatric.
Oh, awesome. And in addition to being a busy spine surgeon, you're also co-chair for this year's IMAST meeting. Tell us what your responsibilities are as co-chair.
So, as you mentioned already, I'm the co-chair with Eric Kleinberg together, and I wouldn't say that we assign specific responsibilities, but I would say I'm a little bit more representative of the pediatric world, where he's not doing so much pediatric deformity, and also I try to be a little bit representative of the non-US surgeons, because it's an international meeting, and trying to give my input there. Yeah.
Fantastic. On the program, next to your co-chair designation, in parentheses, it says abstract. So I was curious, were you in charge of the abstract selection for the meeting?
Yes and no. So we were both. Again, we didn't assign specific responsibilities. So we were both working on ICS abstracts. Of course, I was involved in all the abstracts. I read all the abstracts, but I'm pretty sure Eric also did the same. I know it's written there, but it's not that we separated in abstracts or non-abstracts.
Makes sense, and certainly it's a huge job because so many abstracts are submitted each year, and you can only pick certain ones. Can you explain to us how the process is to choose which abstracts eventually get selected for the final meeting?
Absolutely. I think it was a great process. So, as you know, abstracts are submitted in a blinded fashion, and then we have the reviewers, and so they have a few weeks' time to review all the blinded abstracts, and then we have the scores. So once we have the scores, we have the category leads. So for each category, we have usually 2 leaders, and they sat together with the reviewers. And they did a separate discussion based on the scoring, but also based on the content, because we would give abstracts a chance that are very innovative, that are very interesting, but maybe did not score on the top 5 or 10. So they had the chance to work a little bit and move a little bit, which they did very well, and this was still blinded. And then we discussed it with the category leads, and we believe they made a great selection. And after that, the abstracts were unblinded. And then Eric and me looked at the abstracts together with the SRS team. And then we tried to make sure that we have a nice, diverse program. And for example, we did not want one session to be dominated by one study group, for example. So if we saw there are several abstracts from one study group, then we had the chance to move a little bit, maybe exchange a podium to an abstract, to a poster. We also made sure that we have some specific rules for IMAST that, for example, each presenter has a maximum of 2 abstracts that he can present or she can present. So this is where we finalize the program. And at the end of the day, I believe we have a great program right now. Yeah.
That's such a fascinating thing to know, especially about how some abstracts, which may not be as strong in the traditional sense, if they're particularly innovative, they still get to be included. I've been attending abstract throughout my entire time practicing, and I never realized that. But that makes so much sense for a meeting that's really focused on cutting edge technology, because sometimes when you're at the cutting edge, you don't maybe have as much of the other standard criteria met. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that was the idea of IMAST. You have sometimes you have these very well experienced research groups, and they have great studies and great projects, and they have 500 patients and 5-year follow-up, and then you have maybe a guy from Asia or from Africa or somewhere, and maybe has only 10 patients, but so innovative that we need to hear about it. And maybe the quality of the research is not that great, but it's very innovative. This is why we decided to go for this process.
Fantastic. Have you noticed any trends in the abstracts this year compared to previous years?
So I've been doing, I'm in the IMAST committee for, I think, 4 years right now, and reviewing abstracts for 4 years. I didn't really analyze in detail the numbers, but I would say you can actually see a trend for pediatric, which is clearly non-fusion surgery. There are more and more abstracts on VVT or posterior distraction devices and other non-fusion surgeries. You see in the adult world, you see a lot of technology like robot or AI, and coming with that surgical techniques like single position, 360-degree fusion, and which makes me actually a little bit happy, because I also see another trend that surgery is coming back to the anterior side, which we like in Europe. It doesn't matter if it's vertebral body tethering, which is anterior, or if it's lateral fusion for adult deformity, which is also anterior. I think this is a trend that we will continue to see in the next few years.
Cool. And something I saw that was different about this year's meeting, as far as the research curriculum, there's a new innovation award for the most innovative abstract. Can you tell us a little bit more about this award, since it's brand new?
Yeah, so this is also an idea that came up, what IMAST really is. And IMAST is not the small brother of SRS meeting, annual meeting or so. It's really on innovation. And Munish Gupta came up with this idea. We really want to focus on innovation at this meeting. And we will have great studies, great quality of research, but it's a little bit similar to the abstract selection process. There may be one study or a few studies where everyone says, wow, that's so innovative. And then the membership and the members of the SRS have the chance to vote for it. And every podium abstract, every podium presentation can qualify for it. And if we have an abstract, for example, that did not score on the top 5, or is not from the best quality in terms of methodology, but it's so innovative, it still has a chance to win that abstract and to win that award. And this is what we want to see. We want to have surgeons submitting their innovative work, and the best one gets awarded. Yeah.
And just to confirm, that that abstract or that podium presentation can come from any of the sessions, not already
Correct.
just the White Cloud Awards or anything like, but any session.
Correct. The best paper will be qualified for the White Cloud Award, but the most innovative will have a different award.
Fantastic. Cool. Are there any other aspects of this year's meeting that you're particularly excited about?
So besides the abstracts, I think the ICLs are really great. As I mentioned before, I share a little bit of the international non-US views. So I'm very happy that we have many, let's say, international ICLs. We have a great one that is on osteoporotic fractures and fracture deformity, where we discuss different international views. So I had a chance to speak a little bit about the German or European view, and then we have the Asian Chinese view, and we have the US view. So I think this is very interesting. And at the same time, unfortunately, probably I'm going to miss it because it's concurring. We have the anterior scoliosis session, which is also one of my favorites because I strongly believe that anterior surgery is coming back. And we will have many international faculty there because, just for example, there are a few speakers from the UK, and UK never stopped doing anterior work throughout the year. So they gained so much experience with fusion or non-fusion or whatever you want to have, but so much experience with anterior scoliosis surgery. We have Michael Ruhl from Germany, who's very well experienced with anterior scoliosis surgery. So I think this meeting is great to see many international views on new and future trends in spine surgery. Yes. I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned sort of the power of having an international meeting where you get different viewpoints from different countries, and it is often that there may be certain dogma in the surgical habits of a certain community that may get offset by listening to the views of other people who didn't necessarily get raised in that dogma. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's one of the awesome things about international meetings like IMAST or ePOSNA in the pediatric world.
Right.
So that's fantastic. We are running a little bit low on time today, but I did have one question for you. I saw that you're a co-author on a paper comparing spine research abstracts written by ChatGPT and Bard versus humans. So I wanted you to tell us, are we going to be replaced by AI anytime soon?
At least we have to worry about it because when you read these AI abstracts and AI research, you can't really tell, and sometimes they're much better than human written abstracts. So I think IMAS is also the good place to discuss this. How are we going to deal with this as society? How will we allow it, or will we just not allow it? I think we should get used to AI. This is probably part of the future, but it's a great way to discuss on the next meeting.
Certainly, it's a hot topic, and I'm glad we're able to discuss it in the spine surgery context at this meeting. So great. Well, Dr. Trobisch, thank you so much for chatting with us today. For everyone listening, you've heard a lot of great reasons for attending this year's meeting. As a reminder, early registration closes in less than a month on March 11th. So if you want to save a couple $100 in your registration, make sure to register by March 11th. We hope to see everyone who's listening at the meeting this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.